Thanks for tuning in again to my part two of the Demon Ex Machina Titanic Scion Fusion Guide. Thank you so much. See, like, this is one of the better aspects I like about this game is that your character, loses their humanity as they're in their pursuit of power. So it plays into the whole storyline aspect. And I'm just like messing around with my character because I just always colored them solid gold. I mean, solid black. And then just like, put like, alien looking things to make it look like a xenomorph. But then I tried something else, like, going for a little dark blue, a little azure, you know, action in my character. So I'm going to be like multitasking because, like, I'm coming out with this part too because I've probably wasted collectively on this fusion, trying to figure it out. Because, like, yeah, I've consulted like a lot of guides online and like a lot of people, but they were like, I wouldn't say vague. I didn't really follow their instructions all too well because they were probably saying the same thing. Just go for the active skills and none of the passives, like weapon skills, active skills, and don't worry about any of the passives. Like I think I have passives on my character, but I just got them through the combination of genes that I collected off of various people. So now I gotta do it. This is how you know, like, I'm a fan of this game. Like, I've wasted so much money doing this, and it's like it really doesn't really change any aspect of the games because I can physically use this money to like put attachment slots in my armor and weapons and auxiliary gear, etc. And instead, I'm just using it to change my character over and over again. But I'm just gonna like walk you through it step by step, at least my mental process of how I was gonna go about doing it. So usually, I like to start with the cloak power that you get from Arachne, and yeah, she's probably one of the harder bosses to fight when you have like none of the powers that you have left. Like I say harder, not impossible. It's just like, you have to get used to the fact that you're gonna use splash damage weapons and just fly around and she's gonna disappear and you can't really do anything about that unless you have like, a weapon that does a status to her so her invisibility doesn't work. And then I collect that from her and then I would like because it procs the first 2 to 3 transformations, if I'm not mistaken. So it's the eyes and the body, and I think it'll do the body again, but then it might go to the back, and that's where things start to like really change on your character. Like it becomes more visible, more permanent. Whereas like your first 3 transformations, your body, well, people call it tattoos, right? So your tattoos, your eyes, and then your even more tattoos. It's just like it gets covered over by basically the alien, the immortal parts that your character gets based off of the genes that they collect from these various, monsters and bosses that you defeat. And I would go as far as to say that this is possibly the easiest, excuse me, the easiest done when the game is beaten and you have not only the money available to you, but the ability to fast travel, refight bosses, and like collect all these different genes, fight all the different variations of like bosses in the overworld, so the alphas, the betas. Now they're adding omegas. I wouldn't put it by me that like if the expansion comes out there could be a possible fourth gene factor path. So I don't know, like it's a shadow temporal or whatever, and then like it changes your character even more, and like it's even more intensive, like the different kinds of combinations that your character can achieve through the unlocks and stuff. But I'm actually kind of happy with what I have, so I'm not too critical of that, but in the case that that might be a possibility, like I'm glad that I'm coming out with this guide so that I'm showing how taking down specifically the bosses that have the color coded characteristics that you want. So if you want skull green, might yellow, shell red, right? And if you're fighting a boss character, you're most likely going to get that transformation on your body part. If not from unlocking the skill, then by getting a level 1, then subsequently level 3. I mean, sorry, level 2, then level 3, right? At the very least. Although sometimes you can, like I said, transform, like over transform yourself, basically, like over change, and then make your character a little too one-sided, so like a little too many transformations for one factor, whereas you wanted your character to look different with various, other pieces and this and that, right? Oh my goodness. I can't believe too that if I figured this out like sooner, I probably would have stopped at like the second transformation. But I wanted to make guides for this game. I'm gonna be coming out with like a combo guide for this game because technically speaking, as basic as the combos are, because they just follow like a single button string and then like a double attack when you press both the attack buttons if you have two melee weapons. But there is nuance to it. There is like you get an initial thrust for attacking with, your first weapon, like your first attack on your melee weapon, and it has like a amount. So let's say 10 to 20 meters, right? But if you attack with your like one hand one weapon and then like let's say the other hand with the other weapon, you'll combine both of their initial thrusts. So like let's say one's 10, one's 15. Now you just like boosted 25 by just doing one attack on one with one weapon and another attack with the other weapon. But I'll get into that when I make that video. It's gonna be like less than 10 minutes because it's more or less because Negative Gaming basically said that maces are more or less like useless outside of like weapon throw builds, which is they're very competent as weapon throw builds, but I think maces are a little underrated, at least when it comes to being not just like a secondary weapon for backup, but also like a weapon for a combo finisher. Because I tested this, and I really hope the developers don't change it. The attack comes out much more quickly. Oh no, I'm here. I'm just showing off Demi-Loon Slash. Demi-Loon Slash actually does count as like a hardcore like transformation for your character to undergo, so that like they'll change basically like almost radically like right away or whatever, right? So like if you want that shell part, because I just saw it was like red. I keep gonna get confused. So it's a shell part. It's gonna change your character with shell parts. So let's see. Do I get my shoulder pads? I think I'm getting shoulder pads. Yeah. So these are the shell shoulder pads. Sleek and cool. Like I don't actually mind the might ones because they're like they're cool like the spikes and whatever. But for some reason they're kind of bigger than a lot of like your armor body parts and stuff, and it sticks out weird. Like it looks cool, but at the same time it looks a little off-putting. I don't know. Just my personal preference and taste. And most likely, if they come out again, like I said, if they come out with like even more transformations, like there's going to be a guide 3, a guide 4, 5 possibly. Depends on like how many combinations you get and like how different your character masks look. Because it's like basically that would mean you get for every head you'll get like 12 different combinations, right? If you add another like a fourth gene factor, you'll get like 12 combinations in total. So it'll be like really cool. Like, mind you, you have to get the right mask at the right time, the right junction, so that you can get the desired head part that you want. Because that's probably like the most, at least to me, annoying aspect about the fusion transformation is that if you start with a mask because like my first character I ever had the shell mask, the Spider-Man eyes, the spider eyes, and well, not Spider-Man eyes, like they're actual spider eyes, and it didn't necessarily look bad at first. I thought like, oh, this looks interesting. Like, I wonder what it like leads up into, and then it changed into like this gigantic Triceratops horn head of like this bull alien. But like, I didn't appreciate the eyes. I didn't like it, and the mouth was like a little off too. Like, you can actually see it moving in cutscenes, but it's like this weird, like I don't know how to describe it. It's like a mask mouth, like something's covering it, but like it still can open up and you can talk with it. Whereas the other two are just like, skeleton faces, but like one is actually like the Might one is, to me, is like the best looking series of helmets in the game because not only does it look like Chainsaw Man mask, but it's like of the three variations that you get with the head parts, like they all look the best. Like the worst head to me is the skeleton mask with the skeleton head. I'm like, whoever designed that. No, actually, the skeleton mask with the might head, because it's just like it looks like a cartoony, like somebody drew like perfect cell in class in like your elementary school art class, and that's what it looks like. But Skeleton actually, I figured out what Prodigy Gaming was using for his combination to get that head that he has. So he was using the skeleton mask and then the shell head, but then the mask gets changed into the shell mask, and then the head looks the way that it does. So it looks like a shell head, but it has like horns on it, like I guess kind of like a skeleton horns, not like the might horns, and that's why it looks that way. I was just like, oh, that's how he got his head. So I'm not necessarily going to try to go down that path because that's probably the only skeleton mask combination that I like, which is skeleton mask and might head, might skull, whatever, right? But just to go through that is just I gotta spend another 500,000 just to like do the thing. So if it's worth my trouble, it would be if I have another gene factor to factor into my character to change them into a different build so that they can always just look different. I like the way my character looks when like I strip off like the torso and like the arms and sometimes the head. If the head is cool, like I'll just like change my build to make it look like that. I think I have like a build which uses like a two-handed sword, and it just like is like this crazy berserker character. And I tried it out with my shell looking character, and that like in my previous build, my previous guide that I had with the whole like the way it looked, the elephant legs and all that stuff. And at first I was like, I'm kind of happy with this. But then as I was like just playing around with it and just like looking at my character, and like I kind of prefer either the skeleton body or the might body, so I went back, did this, and I when I was doing this guide, I thought to myself, well, I'm gonna spend the whole day doing this now. But then I thought to myself, well, let me just go specifically after the bosses, and then just go after their higher level skill. So just fight another boss that has the corresponding DNA, and then I found out like you can just do it like almost under. I think I did this under like 40 minutes. Like that's how fast it was. I was just fighting bosses. Like I think the longest I spent was fighting Arachne, the first boss. She just like disappeared and she was like missing for like 2-3 minutes. I'm like, wow. I'm just like rusty at the game though, because I just picked this game up after I was just like binging Monster Hunter Wilds for like the longest time, just getting like all these like different talismans and stuff, getting ready for the next AT um Jin Dahad, because I think they're gonna come out with Jin Dahad next month, but I could be wrong. And there it is, the Predator head. Oh yeah, the fruits of my labor and all that money that I wasted doing this over and over again. I actually got this head before, and I don't know why. I wasn't happy with it because it was on my skeleton body, so the head like looked so huge, and it was like it was out like unbalanced with the head and all that stuff. But here on this body, it looks like the Predator. Like I look like the Predator. I got the xenomorph goat legs. I got these little spike things on my waist. I kind of find that a little weird how my hand clips through it, and I always think to myself like I got claws or something. But it's just, whatever. But again, thank you so much for watching these long ass like guides and stuff. I hope if you find it like helpful when you're like hunting for, just the fashion of your character in these games. So like if the DLC comes out, most likely you'll have like a boss with like a new power or new like, gene color or whatever. And then they'll have corresponding bosses that like increase the skill level of it. So you go for those to like pretty much change your body like immediately. And Leah, you gotta like chill with the passives, leave the passives alone, go specifically after the boss characters, and do it that way.